Welcome all the alumni, Dr. Morris, our interim president, Dr. Sarah, our provost, our platform guests, our administrators, our faculty, board of trustees members, friends of Tuskegee, students, and most importantly, our illustrious alumni. Welcome to Tuskegee. It is my great honor and pleasure to present to you today one of our illustrious alumni, Dr. Makeecha Reed-Crwaford, who is a graduate of Tuskegee. She graduated in 2001 with a degree in biology with highest honors. Now, there's quite a bit that you can read in her biography, which is printed in your program, but I want to share with you some other aspects about Dr. Makeecha Reed-Crwaford. When I first arrived at Tuskegee, Dr. Reed had been here for about 2 years prior to my arrival, having entered the program in biology in 1997. I was so impressed with this young woman who came in as a high achiever. At that time, Tuskegee had a program through the Howard Hughes Medical Institute, which actually targeted high-achieving students from around the country and brought them into Tuskegee to participate in what we called our Enhances program. When Makeecha came into that program under the guidance of Dr. James H.M. Henderson, who was the director of the program at the time, she excelled in everything that she did. But being an excellent student wasn't enough for Dr. Reed. She also was a servant leader, and she exemplified that day in and day out as she matriculated at Tuskegee University. One of the things that I most remember about Dr. Crwaford is her willingness to assist and to help other students and to bring them along. And I see that she has continued that as she has worked with youth in the Charlotte, North Carolina area, trying to bring them up and bring them along and uplift them. While she was Miss Tuskegee University, she exemplified grace, dignity, as well as a humble spirit. And sometimes you find that hard to even see in a person that has great accomplishments. And she still exemplifies that humble spirit. I was talking with Miss Gray on Friday, who works out of the president's office, and one of the things that she commented about Dr. Reed was her humble spirit. So even with all the great accomplishments, even with having completed her medical school program at Wake Forest University, even after completing residency, even after achieving greatness in family medicine, and even after all of the things that she has accomplished, she still maintains that humble spirit. When she was a student at Tuskegee, one of the things that I found so appealing about her was her ability to speak well. And Dr. Peyton, who was the president at that time, also recognized that in the fact that he would always call upon Makeecha to either do a welcome, a presentation, but she was one of the student leaders who was always at the forefront representing Tuskegee in a very, very auspicious way. And so today, what I would like to do is I would like to give honor to this illustrious graduate, one that has worked for Tuskegee, one that came to Tuskegee knowing what she wanted to do, and one that continued on that path of excellence to achieve what she desired to do from the very beginning. She didn't waver. She didn't change her mind. She pursued that and achieved that. And so today, it gives me great pleasure and with great humility, I present to you our keynote speaker for Charter Day Homecoming, Dr. Makeecha Reed-Crwaford, 2001 graduate of Tuskegee University.
Thank you, Dr. Troy, for such a warm and humbling introduction. Good morning, Tuskegee. What a motivation you all have been by presenting me an opportunity to share some thoughts. To Dr. Morris, to the members of the Board of Trustees, directors, faculty, staff, distinguished guests, the reunion classes, parents, students, fellow alumni, Miss Tuskegee University, Mr. Tuskegee University in court, Student Government Association, university ambassadors. Don't let me leave out anybody. We are here to celebrate our 93rd annual homecoming. Yes. And to celebrate all of those heroes who have come before us. I am so grateful to return for another homecoming celebration. Coming home brings back memories. I've been saving this all weekend for you all, of chanting, T-U, and jam, pipers jam, jam, pipers jam, as the band and the piperettes march down the hill towards the football field, as so many scramble for a seat underneath the shed. So over a decade and a half ago, upon graduating from Tuskegee University with a bachelor's in biology, a few items that filled my 2-bedroom apartment in the Commons, luggage packed up to my rear view window, I had so many questions about the road not yet traveled that I could have been frozen by fear. What if I didn't get into medical school? How would I find the funds to apply for medical school with application fees and travel expenses? You all know that stuff is non-refundable. And what if I ended up in a job where I felt like I hadn't fulfilled my potential? With all the positive things and people who surrounded me while at Tuskegee, why in a moment of celebration did I feel so isolated and afraid? Have you ever been at crossroads in life where you could be paralyzed by the fear of the unknown? Maybe some of you find yourselves there today, whether it's juggling your job and career, maintaining your family, creating financial freedom, going into the world of entrepreneurship, breaking the hustle and bustle of your day-to-day routine, or even as a student, planning for your future. Regardless of where you find yourself today, we all have to overcome fear. And we overcome fear and celebrate our rich history by standing in the shoes of those who have come before us, not to fill their shoes, but to draw strength from their struggles and their victories. Thinking of Booker T. Washington, an educator, author, orator, advisor to the presidents, he had humble beginnings. Born a slave, growing up as a young child, he put himself through school and became a teacher after the Civil War. Because of his great vigor, his hard work, and integrity, he was recommended in 1881 to become the college president and founder of what is now known as Tuskegee University, which ranks amongst Forbes' top colleges and university each year. Under his direction, the students literally built their school, making bricks, constructing classrooms, barns, outbuildings, growing their own crops, and raising livestock, both for learning and to provide for the most of their basic necessities. Who says you can't start small and finish big? The main goal was not to produce farmers and tradesmen, but teachers of farmers and trades who would teach in new schools and universities throughout the South. Now, a lot of this is not new information for those who sit under the sound of my voice. But as we know, great people surround themselves with great people. And in 1896, Booker T. Washington invited his dear friend, George Washington Carver, to head the Institute's agricultural department. Carver, an American inventor and botanist whose great reputation has rested largely on the promotion of alternative crops, such as peanuts and sweet potatoes. He wanted for poor farmers to grow alternative crops, both as a source of their own food and as a source to promote self-sufficiency. Carver taught at Tuskegee for over 40 years, developing the agricultural department into a strong research center. And many of those research efforts continue today in environmental science, engineering, and veterinary medicine. And let's not forget about Lonnie George Johnson, born Mobile, Alabama, an American inventor and engineer who holds over 80 patents. Johnson is best known for inventing the Super Soaker, which has ranked amongst the top 20 best-selling toys since its release. I know my daughter would have preferred a Super Soaker over those arm floaties that we put her in the pool this summer. But as the parents, we opted for the least number of splashes. But let's look at Lonnie Johnson, who drew much of his inspiration from George Washington Carver. We have great heroes to follow. Lonnie Johnson went on to earn his bachelor's in mechanical engineering and master's in nuclear engineering from Tuskegee University. And we cannot forget the red bands that wrapped around the noses and the tails of those P-51 airplanes. The Tuskegee Airmen, y'all. Yes. They were the first Black servicemen to serve as military aviators in the United States Armed Forces, flying with distinction during World War II. Did they not have moments of fear? Tormented by racial discrimination, both at home and abroad, while fighting war on two fronts to show that the color of one's skin or background does not have to correlate with one's success. The highly publicized successes of the Tuskegee Airmen have helped pave the way for the integration of the United States Armed Forces. And if we get literal about standing in the shoes of those who have come before us, last year's homecoming speaker, Tom Joyner, born and raised Tuskegee, Alabama, American radio host of the nationally syndicated Tom Joyner Morning Show, stood at this very podium and arrived in his private jet at the Moton Municipal Field Airport. Now, you know I can't fill those shoes. I flew in Delta Airlines, economy class, making every dollar stretch on a budget. But I can't leave out my ladies either. So let's think about Dr. Danielle Spencer, childhood star and actor, known as Dee Thomas on what's happening, went on to receive her doctorate of veterinary medicine from none other than Tuskegee University. So don't think as I stand before you that I've arrived, in the words of Langston Hughes' Mother to Son. Life for me ain't been no crystal stair. It's had tacks in it and splinters and boards torn up and places where there's been no carpet on the floor. I mean bare. But all the time, I've been climbing on and reaching higher heights. Go on a journey with me. My high school may not have been characterized as top ranking, but I was able to get into a magnet program that exposed me to the early exposure to the medical and allied health sciences. I ran for student government. I've always had a zeal to lead and to provide solutions. I became a queen of my high school based off of scholastic achievement and leadership ability. And once chosen as the representative for my high school, I went on to compete amongst 75 or greater other students in the Charlotte area, and I became the first Black to become Carolina's Carousel Queen. I enrolled in a college preparatory program that exposed me to historically Black colleges and universities. My parents graduated from a small liberal arts school in Salisbury, North Carolina, but we toured schools all the way from Bowie State down to Florida A&M, but landing upon Tuskegee University with such a rich history and legacy, I knew that by being here, I was destined for greatness. I became a cheerleader and met some of my closest and best friends. And even though we don't talk on a day-to-day basis, or months may go by, they know that they hold a special place in my heart. And Tuskegee was a great place as well for me to meet my husband. So even running for Miss Tuskegee University had its set of challenges. Public speaking is not what I do on a day-to-day basis, but once again, that's Tuskegee pushing me to higher heights. After graduating from Tuskegee University, I worked the night shift. That's 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. for a year as a clinical laboratory assistant at the local hospital in order to prepare for the MCAT and to save funds to apply for medical school. You see, even though that wasn't my ultimate destination, that night shift served as a launching pad to take me to the next level. Little did I know that those nights of red eyes and burning the midnight oil, it was adapting me for those long nights on call as a resident physician. I remember memories of long hours, years of intense studying and training, having to pass several medical licensing exams, ongoing recertification, continuing medical education, all while working 40 to 80-hour work weeks, feeling consumed by the pressure and fear of failure, or even making it past those steps and preparing for the job interview and bringing down thoughts of preconceived perceptions of what someone would think of me based on the spelling or the pronunciation of my name. Both my husband and I, as Tuskegee graduates and physicians, we know that medicine is the most natural extension of who we are and all that we stand for. And we worked hard to be in a profession that promotes man's best effort at healing and wholeness. But after having our first child, we had a longing to create financial freedom, true wealth, to leave a legacy for our family, to have more, to be able to give more, to be able to reach more people, that we now own and operate our own residential redevelopment company in which we buy properties, we add value, and we resell those properties. And some we hold on to for future purposes, all while still maintaining our jobs as physicians. So believe me, we know firsthand the fear that can come along at every crossroad. So as I took you through my journey from high school to college to medical school to now owning our own company, I have learned to stand in the shoes of those who have come before me, not to fill those shoes, but to gain strength from their struggles and their victories, as did Booker T. Washington, George Washington Carver, Lonnie Johnson, the Tuskegee Airmen, Tom Joyner, Dr. Danielle Spencer, and so many more. They were ordinary people doing extraordinary things. This is who we are. It's who we are made of. You too can overcome fears. If it had not been for my faith in God, the support of my husband, my parents, my brother, family, and friends, I would not be who I am today. The relationships and friendships with professors like Dr. Troy, like Dr. Velma Richardson, like Dr. Helen Benford, like the late Dr. J.H.M. Henderson, who truly care about their students and believe in their students. It made all the difference. I remember Dr. Henderson rolling up those sleeves, picking up duffel bags and trunks and bringing them into the dormitory in the lobby of Olivia Davison Hall. And when I think of so many other of my colleagues who have blazed a trail for us to follow, Dr. Tennille Webb Humphreys, pediatric nephrology, Dr. Damian Finley, Dr. Jerry Hines, oral surgeons, Dr. Latasha Sellers Williams, pediatrician, Sanford graduate, came out of Tuskegee University. While it's imperative for us to imitate those who have gone before us, it's just as critical to know when to innovate and to blaze your own trail. You see these shoes? You see these shoes up there? These are not my shoes. These shoes are not my size. These shoes are not my gender. These shoes may not even be the color that I would have chosen to wear today. We may have challenges, but we can step into these shoes. We may have struggles, but we can step into these shoes. We may have obstacles to overcome, but we can step into these shoes. We may not know the end from the beginning, but we can step into these shoes. Anybody ready to run? Is anybody ready to stand? You have to find your drive, your why, that still, quiet voice that gives you assurance that you can trust, yet verify, and not fear. And if you go down one path and reach a roadblock, remember, I worked that night shift. That wasn't my final destination. I could have been discouraged. I could have given up. It's not time to give up. It's time to be encouraged, to push even harder. Those places serve as launching pads to take you to the next level. So as we celebrate our 93rd homecoming, and we return to our respective places in life, let us not be frozen in fear. You ready to stand? You ready to run? Let's stand. Let's stand together in the shoes of those who have come before us, not to fill their shoes, but to draw strength from their struggles as we go from victory to victory. I love you, Tuskegee University. Thank you all, and God bless.